The all-American half pound of sweet pure beef patty, lettuce, tomato.
Singles going steady.
This is Singles Going Steady, the podcast dedicated to exploring great singles with a particular eye to the punk, new wave, and DIY eras of the last century. I'm Adrienne Madoc.
And I'm Steve McGowan. We are in a band, The Beef People, we recorded and released a single in 1986 on our own label, Zub Records. We are record collectors and passionate especially about the expression of pop music perfection that is the single recording. Exploring the mystery of what makes for a great single is what propelled us to begin this podcast.
And what number are we on this time?
We are at number SGS 012. And
what's our single?
it is by our one of our favorite bands, England's XTC, and their marvelous single, Senses Going Overtime.
Senses working overtime.
Senses going steady.
We're going steady.
Senses going steady. Senses working overtime. Yes. So it is actually called Senses Working Overtime. I'm sorry about that. This was released in 1982. It's off their fifth record called English Settlement. It's on Virgin Records. XTC is a band that everybody in the Beef People just totally is in love with.
Absolutely, I think.
Yeah.
And you should be too.
Yes.
If you're not already, hopefully by the end of this episode you will be. Mm-hmm. Or you at least be convinced to date them.
Yes.
Perhaps go steady.
Yes, man. At least hold hands.
Yes.
All right. So this was written, didn't you read somewhere that Andy actually wrote this as a single?
Yes, yeah. This was going to be, they were encouraged by their company.
Yes,
you
Virgin.
guys really need to have a good single.
Right.
We need to break you with the single. And, eventually XTC did have Dear God that broke as a single, but, that was not this album.
A lot later, yeah.
Much later.
And Andy Partridge, the one of the main singers and songwriters, he said, I had to sit down and write a single, and he took inspiration from the old Manfred Mann song 54321, and we're going to listen to his version of Senses Working Overtime from 1982 now, and then we'll have plenty to talk about. So here's XTC with Senses Working Overtime.
Sleep
The utter Britishness of that. It just drips Britishness.
Yes.
Taking its inspiration from Manfred Mann, the Countdown, and it really sounds like it's built for singing down the pub.
Right.
You've got the hook, the singability, the chantability. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 senses working overtime. It just drills into your head. You can just see everybody raising their pint glasses and singing.
Hear it coming from the football terrace.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, this is built to be popular.
Yes.
Or, it's got accessibility.
And one of the things we really like about XTC is they're a quintessentially British band. We've talked before about bands that from the UK that take American music and feed it back to us, but they're more in kind of a Kinks mode.
Yes.
They stay very British. They talk about British things.
Abjectly, unapologetically British.
Right. And
English.
I mean, even the album has the picture of the Uffington Horse on it, right near Swindon, where they're from.
Right, so it's local. Like it's kind of locavore English.
Right. And the single, Senses Working Overtime, has this really cool old school
like woodcut style.
On the cover.
It's very handmade. It's very cool and hipster now for everything to be that handmade style, that hand drawn, and it was not the thing. We had a whole bunch of electronic music that we've talked
at the same
about.
time.
That came out contemporaneously, and this goes absolutely the other way. Really finding its roots, I think, in English troubadours. In the tradition of English sing-alongs, English. It's more English than a Toby mug. I mean, it's just super English.
There's even a song on the album called English Roundabout. So there you go. I really like the way they use the acoustic guitar on this track, and that's a theme going through the whole album. Andy said that they'd gotten a few acoustic guitars in, and they were really turning down the amps, and they were going for, like you said, the kind of more pastoral.
This is the English countryside on a 12-inch, right?
Right. Yes, exactly. So they definitely are not parroting America here at all. Now, we've both, you are a teacher, and I have been trained as a teacher, and I have worked up a lesson plan using this for the kids to teach them about the senses. Didn't you have something you did with this?
Yeah, I had like my middle school moment in college as a student, and my students they're a little beyond with the learning their senses, although they could certainly come to their senses. But as a student myself in college, when we were reading I had an English poetry class, and we were looking at the importance to the Romantic poets of relying not on your reason, right? So this was like in the thesis antithesis to the days of the age of reason. You've got the age of the body and the age of trusting your senses. That really the Romantics were singing and celebrating the senses. Right. And I was like, oh man, I've got something right up your alley, Prof. And so I come trotting into class with my 12-inch of senses working overtime, and I'm like, here is a modern interpretation that's really in the spirit of the Romantics, and modern poetry, singing the praises of the senses and the importance of relying on your visceral sensory senses.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I think I actually used the blah, blah, blah. And I think it was heard as blah, 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 no matter what was coming out of my mouth.
Just
and they were like,
little trumpets like on a Peanuts cartoon. Blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. Except it wasn't the teacher. It was like, blah, blah, blah. It was the student. Blah, 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 blah. And so it was kind of like, yeah, kid. Yeah. Go away, you bother me.
So you weren't a geek or anything?
Oh, well, no, of course not. I was a super cool rocker chick.
Super cool. So, We always talk about, well, most of the time on the podcast, we talk about who we'd like to hear cover the song. And unfortunately, we found out that...
Got a retroactive request to
Yes.
not cover.
Yes. We found out that everybody's sweetheart, America's sweetheart, Mandy Moore, actually covered this song. And because we love you kids so much, we are actually going to play you a little bit of it. So let's
Because
listen.
if we liked you less, we'd play you the entire thing.
That's right. We'll just play a little bit of it. And it's Mandy Moore doing Senses Working Overtime. Here
Bless
we go.
her heart. Bless all of us.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hey, hey, the clouds are away. There's straw for the donkeys and the innocents can all sleep safely. And all sleep safely. My, the sun is bright. There's fodder for the cannons and the guilty ones can all sleep safely. And all sleep safely. And all the world just football shaped. It's just for me to kick in space. And I can see, hear, smell, touch, taste. And I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 senses working overtime. Trying to take this part in life. Got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 senses working overtime. Trying to taste the difference between the love and life, pain and pleasure, and the church bells softly chime.
All right, Mandy Moore, huh?
Yeah, it's really sad what happened to her with her husband dying when that crock pot had caused the house fire.
Yes.
That wasn't her, though. I think that was a character.
So pretty much that negates our recommendation for a cover. Of course, I wouldn't mind hearing her ex-husband play it.
Well,
Not the one that died in the crock pot, but the one that was in Whiskey Town.
that one,
Yeah.
yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the influence. I don't know the timeline. It's like, honey, would you sing this XTC song? I don't know who we have to blame for that.
Yeah, really. XTC is one of those bands with two excellent songwriters. The song we've been listening to is written by Andy Partridge, but Colin Moulding, the bass player, is also an excellent songwriter and has written some of the hits, including Making Plans for Nigel and a lot of other songs, Ball and Chain.
Yeah, and it's interesting that Making Plans for Nigel, the XTC certainly evolved over time.
Definitely.
Early XTC was very angular and
Very
and not
new wave.
yeah chevrons and
Yes.
triangles and
Yes.
dots,
Sharp edges.
very sharp, and
Then you had Black Sea.
which was kind of, I'm saying that's the revolver.
Yes, definitely.
Great pop album, but finely crafted songs.
Yes.
And in here you've got not just finely crafted, but bespoke, handmade.
Right.
You've got hammered out of tin over an anvil that your great grandfather forged.
Right.
I mean, this is it's not twee, but if
No, not
they
at
were
all.
less talented, it would be twee.
Yes. Yeah, but they can deliver the goods, as the kids say, right? So, the XTC catalog is a very strong catalog. There's really very few weak records. They all have their own place. The early ones are a little dodgy, but everything from drums and wires on is just pretty strong.
You have to be ready for them to not be the melody monsters that
Right.
they are later on.
Right, exactly.
It's not that they're not melodic, but they're melody in shards.
Yes. So, do we have any recommendations?
Yeah, I guess my recommendation is Enthusiasm, because I did want to talk a little bit about the days before the internet.
Okay.
XTC, you mentioned, was a favorite of everyone in the band, but
Yes.
no one more so than our keyboard player, Ken Norton.
Yes.
And I'm thinking about... I had a business trip that took me to Colombia, and Ken let me couch surf with him for a few days. And this was the days before voicemail, so you had the old cassette player answering machine, so you could hear everybody who called
Right.
and what the message was. And 24/7, it was, yes, this is Ricky in Albuquerque, and I've got that outtake that you wanted from the demo sessions for, the third album.
And this is going
I'm
on all
looking to
day?
trade, like 24/7. And that's kind of how the world was before
Yeah.
the internet, or before the ubiquity of the internet, that it was phone calls and letters.
And
snail
Ken
mail.
really has everything. He has
Yeah.
all the unreleased stuff and all the demos, and he's a real, true diehard fan.
Yeah, the days before the internet when you actually had to talk to people.
Those were the days, kids. So I would recommend, there is a recent documentary about XTC. It's called This Is Pop. I saw it on Showtime, and it does talk to all the members of the band. It gives the history of the band. It shows a lot of really good footage of them playing live and in the studio. And it's a great place to start if you don't know a whole lot about XTC. Or even if you do, if you're a fan. If you're a fan, you want more. But it's a good document because you don't see a lot of them. We never saw them live.
Yeah, and Andy has sort of infamous mid. Well, I was going to say
fright.
mid-career,
Yeah.
but after the first couple albums, he just got struck with paralyzing stage fright,
Right.
And so they don't play live,
Right.
So we won't see them live
No.
unless they figure out how to chemically reverse that tendency that he's developed.
So check out that documentary if you can.
Yeah, where there's live footage is embedded, and of course there's a great clip of them in Erg, a music war,
yeah.
which is something. I guess I could have my retroactive recommendation. I was recommending Enthusiasm,
Right.
and a place you can channel that enthusiasm is by watching Erg,
Yes.
a music war, which is maybe 30 artists.
At least, yeah.
At least
Really,
30 artists.
everybody's really good in it.
81, 82
Yeah.
live performances.
All live.
Including XTC performing live, and is it Respectable Street?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. And it's just great. And that's off Black Sea.
Right.
And it's a great performance. It's just incredibly energetic and
Great live band.
they're enthusiastic, and I think you'll be enthusiastic. And there's lots of other things, probably other artists that we'll be talking about that had a moment in Erg.
Yep. All right, so this has been Singles Going Steady, number 0112, XTC. Senses working overtime. As you can tell, we are big fans. You should check this one out for sure. You should check XTC out. We love them. You will love them. And that's it for us. We'll see you next time.
See you.
Bye.
To learn more about the artists and recordings we just talked about, visit our website at zubrecords.com and click on the Singles Going Steady icon.
You'll also find links to the persons, places, and things we recommend, and much more.
You can find episodes of Singles Going Steady on our website or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Singles Going Steady is brought to you by the power and majesty of Zub Records.
Zub Records. Smart sounds for sharp people.